How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz. Now, I got a lot of comments in my last video about the Sinnoh Tour, so I wanted to make a follow-up video answering all of your questions and clarifying certain aspects of the event. That being said, let's jump straight into it. The first question isn't necessarily a question, but it's actually about the Raid Lover add-on for the LA event. Now, originally I had talked about this being 18 free raid passes for the entire weekend for that $15 add-on, but I actually got this wrong, according to some people who have played during past events who have actually purchased this Raid Lover add-on. So according to them, it's actually going to be 18 raid passes every single day for the entire weekend, which means February 16th, 17th, and 18th, which means for $15 you actually get a total of 54 orange raid passes and the candy bonuses. In my opinion, that is a crazy good deal if you actually use a majority of the raid passes. Even at least half would be, definitely worth it. Now, the downside to this is that you have to use every single one of those raid passes during the weekend. So for example, you get 18 raid passes to use on Friday, but if you don't go out and raid, then you just wasted 18 raid passes. You won't be able to store those in your inventory because they are orange passes. You can only get orange raid passes by spinning gym stops after you've already done a raid and used your orange pass. So again, you can do this up to 18 times per day. Now, one more clarification I want to go over is depending on which day is going to be your event day, because you get 9 free raid passes to use during that day as well. So what about this Raid Lover add-on? Does that add 18 raid passes on top of that? Now, unfortunately, because Niantic uses terrible wording and it's always very confusing, I can only, give my best estimate here, but I believe they're saying that you can get a total of up to 18 free raid passes every single day. So for your event day, that would just be 9 additional raid passes, not 18 additional raid passes. Obviously, when the event happens, we can confirm or deny if this was true, but that's currently what I'm picking up on right now. And you guys can let me know in the comment section down below if you think it's going to be like that, or if you think it's going to be 18 additional raid passes plus the 9 that you already got for free from buying the event ticket. With that being said, you're still going to get the 18 free raid passes for the other days as well, and you don't even have to have purchased a city portion for those days to actually use those raid passes, which is pretty cool. So all around, I just wanted to really clarify this Raid Lover add-on because it was a big difference from what I thought it was going to be, and now it definitely seems a lot more tempting. And the reason that I say this is because if you're at least going to be playing 2 days, your event day plus a city portion, and you pick somewhere like Santa Monica or downtown Disney, odds are you're going to end up doing a lot of raids throughout the day just passively. I mean, you're going to run into them all the time. Now, during the event day, maybe less, right? And maybe even during the city portion, maybe less if you're just focused on spawns entirely, which some people are. They want to get as many shinies as possible, but at the same time, doing these raid battles with full lobbies of 20 people goes by incredibly fast. So I don't know, there's a lot to consider here. Let me know if this has changed your mind in the comment section down below. I just felt like this clarification was really important and I had to go over it. If I'm going in person but I don't have a ticket, can I still do the raids for Dialga and Palkia? The answer is yes, you can remote raid them to my knowledge, but I wouldn't recommend it, because you're not going to be able to get their shiny forms or their signature moves if you don't actually have a ticket. Can I trade Origin Form Dialga and Palkia? The answer is simple, yes you can. Our next question is actually a little bit more loaded, and that's going to be, how will the Rose Bowl experience differ from the city experience? Now, in my experience, the Rose Bowl or park experience is going to have habitats with different types of Pokemon to hunt, but the city portion is just going to be everything combined, which is definitely much nicer in my opinion, just because you don't have everything, condensed to one habitat. It's just going to be all over the place. So for example, if you're trying to hunt down a very specific Pokemon, you have a better chance of running into it in the wild than you do just going to its habitat. That's just been my experience in the past going to these in-person events, so just take that for what you will. Both experiences are definitely going to be worth it though. You're just going to have different results, I would say, depending on the Rose Bowl experience and the city experience. Our next question asks, can you play in the city during your event day? So unfortunately, no, you can only play at the Rose Bowl Stadium, but you should have the option to buy a city-wide add-on for either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on your event day. So for example, my event day is going to be on Saturday, so that means I can buy a city add-on for either Friday or Sunday, or actually potentially both. It does give you the option to buy both add-ons, but I feel like 2 extra days of play plus your event day is a lot, and I get for some people traveling over here, you want to make the most out of it. If that's you and you want to play all 3 days, then by all means, but I think for me, 1 event day plus 1 city day is more than enough. Will Dialga and Palkia have location cards? Yes, there is a small chance that you will be able to get these Pokemon with location cards featuring the LA background, similar to how it was last year during the Hoenn Tour and other events that we've had throughout the year. Now, when it comes down to these location cards, I don't know the rate and how often you're going to get them. I think I got maybe like 3 Groudon with the location cards out of like 9 raids during the Hoenn Tour, so I don't think it's like that uncommon, but ideally you would want to get like a shiny with the location card. That would just be super sick. My Groudon actually has a Las Vegas background and it's a lucky shiny too, and it just looks so awesome. It switches between the lucky background and then the Vegas background, and it just looks really cool. Now, I'm sure a follow-up question to this is that if I remote raid the Dialga and Palkia this weekend, can I get the location cards on them? And that is something that I'm not 100% sure about. I'm gonna assume no, because it's gotta be like an event exclusive thing, right? But at the same time, if you're able to get into the raids, I mean, maybe there is a possibility of that, but the shiny and the exclusive signature attacks have already been turned off for people who are gonna remote raid in to do these raids. So just taking a guess here, that probably means that the LA backgrounds are probably not gonna be included as well, but we'll have to wait and see. The next question is, what are some good places to eat at during the event? Now, there are gonna be a lot of smaller chained restaurants in Pasadena, which is where the Rose Bowl is, so you should be able to find something relatively close by, like no more than a few miles away, but I'm honestly not too familiar with that area specifically. I just haven't really gone to the Rose Bowl since my time living here. But if anyone is from Pasadena who's watching this right now, recommendations would be really appreciated in the comment section down below. There should also be some food trucks on site, but I will warn you that the lines are probably going to be really long. Now, for those of you guys who watched my other video, I did recommend packing your own lunch, like some sandwiches, some protein bars, stuff like that, just to keep you energized throughout the day. During the city portion, it's going to be a little bit easier to go out and, you know, eat something a little bit nicer, but during your event day, it's probably going to be a little bit tougher while you're in the park, especially, to kind of leave and then come back. So when it comes down to it, my recommendation is still going to be to pack your own lunch for the actual event day. The next thing that we're going to talk about are going to be additional location recommendations from you guys in the comments. So the Pike from Long Beach was recommended, and I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents on all these locations as well if I've actually been to them. I have been to the Pike a few times. I don't really love it. Like, in my opinion, the locations that I mentioned in my other video are just a lot better. This is a pretty popular location, especially because Trainer Tips does play around this area. I don't know if he's going to be playing here during his Friday or Sunday city portions of the event. Maybe he will be. Maybe he'll be at the actual event both days. I don't really know. But in my opinion, the Pike wasn't really that good. Like, it's not bad. It's definitely a decent place to be. You're near the Aquarium of the Pacific if you want to check that out. So there is like stuff to do over in that area. We also got recommended the pier on Redondo Beach. I've actually been there as well. I didn't really think it was that great in my opinion to some of the other areas as well, but again, take that for what you will. Universal Studios. I've heard Universal Studios is actually pretty good. Downtown LA, Little Tokyo / Arts District. Now, I used to work in this area in downtown LA, and this is actually pretty good. Now, we also got another recommendation from the same person. That's going to be in Old Town Pasadena, which is definitely more of a recommended spot compared to downtown LA, especially given the distance from the Rose Bowl to Old Town Pasadena and probably where most of your hotels are going to be at. So in that regard, yeah, Old Town Pasadena is pretty good. I haven't gone there too often. I've mostly just driven around the area, but not to actually walk and play. But I've heard that it's pretty good, so definitely recommend. And then finally, we have Caltech, which is also going to be a pretty good spot to play. I haven't gone there personally either, but I've heard that it's kind of like other college campuses. Like I mentioned CSUN in my last video. Caltech is probably equivalent to that. But I have never gone on their campus, so I don't know how strict they are about like non-students, you know, walking around and stuff like that. Now with that being said, my top recommendation for non-locals is still probably going to be either Disney or Santa Monica 3rd Street. I totally forgot to go over this one. Somebody had asked if there's any good areas to play around Glendale, which is where they're going to be staying. The Glendale Galleria is actually pretty good. There's lots of shops, restaurants, and Pokestops around. It's a pretty safe area to walk around as well, so Glendale Galleria definitely gets 2 thumbs up for me if you guys are going to be around that area. Next up, we got a pretty big question. Should I pick Diamond or should I pick Pearl? Is Dialga better? Is Palkia better? So historically, Dialga has been better in the Master League, but both of them are actually pretty functional in the Master League depending on which one you go for. Now, I can't speak too much to the origin forms. The base stats for these Pokemon are going to vary slightly. So for example, origin form Dialga is going to have 5 less attack, but its defense is going to be better than regular Dialga. I don't know how that's going to play out. I know that the CP is probably going to be a little bit lower for that reason, but honestly for PvP, this might make Origin Form Dialga a tiny bit better. Now, since I posted that video, there has actually been some more information that has come to light, so I'm going to go over that first, and then I'm going to go over some testimonies from other people on why they're going to pick the version that they want to go with. So first of all, the adventure effects will last twice as long during the LA event. Now for Dialga, it was going to be 6 minutes per increment, and for Palkia, it was going to be 10 minutes, which is 5,000 Stardust and 5 candy per increment power power-up. I don't really know what to call these. I mean, power-up doesn't really feel like the right terminology, but I'm just gonna go in increments here. So now it's actually gonna be double the duration during that event day. So instead of 10 minutes, it's gonna be 20 minutes. And then for Dialga, instead of 6 minutes, it's gonna be 12 minutes, which is actually pretty good. Like Palkia only costing what? 15 candy plus 15,000 Stardust for 1 hour of an extended radius duration? That sounds insane for the Sinnoh Tour event. Now on top of that, you're also going to get more Mega Energy on a very specific Pokemon depending on if you go Diamond or Pearl. So for Diamond, you're going to get more Mega Tyranitar energy from spinning Pokestops, and if you pick Pearl, you're going to get more Mega Salamence energy from spinning Pokestops. Now personally speaking, this definitely does sweeten the deal for Diamond a little bit more because I do need Mega Tyranitar energy, and getting a bunch of it just passively throughout the event by spinning Pokestops, that's going to be a huge win. Now for those of you guys who are going to be attending the LA event, these bonuses will also carry over to the global event as well. So you're going to have 2 weekends of whichever one you end up picking. So it's pretty important that you pick the right one. Now obviously I can't tell you guys which one is going to be the best version. Like I grew up playing Diamond, but I'm actually leaning more towards Pearl for this event, just given the bonuses and Palkia's adventure effect. Not to mention whichever version you pick, you're going to get more candy when you do raids for that specific Pokemon. Now our first comment is leaning towards Palkia, and they say, I don't think increasing the timer is really worth it unless you have a better spawn radius. And that's a fair point. Our next comment is also in favor in Palkia, and mathematically they say the area using special rend is 4 times the normal size, so essentially 4 times spawns. Easily beats 6 extra minutes of incense for me. Another really good point. I mean, again, like you're getting 10 minutes, 20 minutes during this event of an increased radius of Pokemon that you can catch. Now, obviously it's going to depend on how we actually see it in person, but so far, like on paper, it seems like the radius is going to be a lot more worth it just for that extra 20 minutes, right? Of an improved radius all around you. That's a lot more shiny checks, it's a lot more Pokemon you can catch. You can definitely get the Stardust back just from that 10 minutes alone, in this case 20 minutes. And the 5 candy that you have to spend, I mean, that's kind of negligible because you're going to be doing a lot of raids throughout the day most likely, and you're going to get that back really easily. We do have somebody who's going to be on Dialga's side though, and they're going with it more because they are a spend to win player, and they're more invested in their items than a catch radius. And that's also a fair point right there. If you guys do spend a lot of money on this game, then Dialga might be more worth it for you, but I think for free-to-play players, the increased radius is probably where that comes into play more. Because personally speaking, I don't really run star pieces and lucky eggs that often, and even if I did, like an extra 6 minutes isn't that important to me. Like I'd rather have a more increased radius. Now with that being said, it's not like you guys have to actually pick between these two, especially if some of your friends end up getting the other version. You guys can just trade the legendary Pokemon between each other. You get a total of 6 special trades per day, so you can definitely make it happen even with random people throughout the event, although that may cost a little bit more Stardust, so I don't know if I'd recommend that. But still, at the end of the day, you guys can use both adventure effects, ideally if you end up getting some from trades or if you end up getting some from the raid battles. Now hopefully you guys haven't decided yet, because there is one more important thing that we need to go over, and that was the phrasing for the special research quest. It was actually incorrect. Yesterday night, new information came out that showed that you won't be able to actually get Dialga or Palkia with their signature movesets from the special research quest. Instead, you're going to get trolled and get a Bidoof, which, I mean, kind of typical. I'm not that surprised, but according to the official blog post, the version that you pick will increase your chances of getting that moveset from raid battles, or possibly even guarantee that you're going to get that moveset from raid battles. So for example, if you pick Diamond, then you're going to get Roar of Time from raid battles guaranteed. Now I'm not the only person who was confused by this. LeakDuck, who is actually sponsored with Niantic, was even confused by the wording and stated that the version that you pick determines which move will be guaranteed when encountering them from raid battles, but you still have a chance of getting the move that you didn't pick. It's just not going to be guaranteed. So I don't really know how this is going to work out, but I figured I should provide you guys with a heads up. And again, like depending on which one you want to pick, like for example, if you want to get that Palkia bonus, then the safer way of doing it is probably going Pearl. Moving on though, our next question is, can you TM Frustration away? So I can see why there was some confusion about this, because the special research is going to be Team Go Rocket themed, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to TM away Frustration on your Shadow Pokemon during this event. We just recently had an event where we could TM Frustration away. That's not going to be the case though for the Sinnoh Tour, unfortunately. Now our final question of the video is going to be, what does extends the effect until 2 hours mean? So once again, very poor wording on Niantic's part, but let me break this down. So for Dialga, for example, it's going to cost you 5,000 Stardust and 5 candy for 6 minutes of its power-up. Now you can extend the effect up to 2 hours in 6-minute increments, so that would be a total of 20 increments for a total of 100,000 Stardust and 100 candy. Now you can actually do this 11 more times on top of that for a max total of 24 hours, which would be 1.2 million Stardust and 1,200 candy. Now I believe the way that this was designed is so that people don't accidentally spend a bunch of their Stardust in candy by accidentally, clicking something that they didn't want to. It does happen more often than you'd think. I see a lot of stuff on the Pokemon Go subreddit that I just really do question. With that being said, that pretty much covers all the questions I had. If you guys have any additional questions on top of this though, please feel free to comment them down below. I'll do my best to respond to them as soon as possible before the event starts on Saturday, but if you're still looking for some more content, I'm going to recommend these 2 videos right here. And before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.